Welcome to Excel training. Today we are going to see a concept called charts in Excel, how to create charts and what are the options available in chat that we are going to see. So let's start with charts. So these are the topics which we are going to cover under charts. That is creating a basic chart and what are different types of chat available in Excel. uh, what is how to create a dynamic chat and how to use conditional formatting inside chats. Okay, so let's take a small example to start with. So this is a table which I have three uh, different months and sales performed for these 3 months by these sales representatives. So let's create a basic chart. Okay, so chat options will be under insert tab. So go to insert and all your chatting options will be under here. Under charts, you have a group where you have different types of chats available. Your column chart, pie chart, bar chart, XY chart, 3D chart, column chart, all these different kinds of charts available in this group. Okay, so how to create a chart? So what is your data? First select that. I'm going to select this data and go to insert and just select any one of the chart. Here I'm going to create a column chart to start with. So I'm just selecting a basic 2D column chart. So once you just mouse over on that, it will display you the chart accordingly. So just as simple as that, take the data and try to create a chart. So I'm just going to reduce the size of it. Yes. So here, if you observe, um, we have months here in the horizontal axis and sales in the vertical axis, and there are 3 bars, and each and every bar corresponds to each and every sales representative we have, right? So that's being represented here. So these are called legends. Legends are uh, different rows which we have in your table. You have 3 sales representatives present, so you have 3 different legends here, and these are called uh, categories, right? So whatever is there in your horizontal axis, that is x-axis, that we call it as categories, and whatever is there on your vertical axis, those are called legends, right? So sales performed for different representatives, so these are present in the vertical axis. These are called legends. These are called categories. So I have 3 categories here: Jan, Feb, March, and different sales available, right? So this data, whichever is here, will be picked up automatically based on whatever data you have, and you can even change that upper limit and lower limit as well. So we'll see some of those chat options as well. So once you create a chat, and as you select this chat, you have 2 different tabs available: design and format, right? So let's look at the design first. You have chat elements here. The very first option is add chat element. You can add all these chat elements in your chat. You can even get that option here next to, right next to your chat. You have a plus symbol here. Once you mouse over on that, it says chat elements. If you click on that, one external window, separate window appears where you have all the chat elements which you can select. So most commonly used chat elements, of course, is your chat title. Every chat needs a title to be displayed. So in this case, it is by default checked. So if it is not checked, you can go and check it there. When you click on that side arrow, you will get an option where you want your chat title to be displayed, right? So as of now, it is on top. I can give a chart title. Let's say sales or monthly sales. I say Jan to March, right? So this is the title I want to specify. I can go to that chart title box and type it, or you can even link it to a particular cell. Let's say I have the same text here, monthly sales Jan to March, and I want to link my uh, chart title to my cell. I can just go select this chart title box. I'm just selecting that. Go to your formula bar and say equals to, and select that particular cell, press enter. It will be the same, right? So you can even type your chart title, or you can link it to a Excel cell such that you modify it here, and your chart title will change accordingly. That's one option called chart title. And you have data labels, right? See, you have three different bars here, and if you want to display the amounts on top of, or wherever you want the data labels to be displayed, you can just select that data labels. See, when I mouse over there, it gets displayed there. But make sure that whatever chart elements you are specifying, they are not they're not making the chart too clumsy, right? So in this case, it is actually making it clumsy, so I'm just leaving it like that. So if you specify data labels here, this vertical axis will no longer be used, right? So you can delete that if you specify the data labels here. So if I do that, data labels, I select it, and I select it and delete, your chat becomes like this, right? So based on whatever, however you want your chat to be displayed, you can select those options accordingly. If you want data table to be displayed, you can just give the data table here, right? And you have these grid lines here, right? So you can even select that grid lines and press delete button such that those grid lines will be deleted. Or even you can come here and delete those grid lines. Uncheck this, grid lines will be gone. Check that, grid lines will be back, right? So those are grid lines. And legends, right? So if I uncheck that, those legends will not be displayed. As we discussed, these are called legends. You can display wherever you want. You can display it on top of the chat, or bottom, or to the right, or whatever. But it's always preferable to display the legends, because it will display you which color is what, right? So here the very first bar represents Paul, the second represents Peter, and the third represents John, right? So that's those are grid lines, and those are bars and legends, right? So yes, those are some of the chart elements which we regularly use. Yes, and I go back to my design. Right, so those are chart elements, and we have something called quick layout. These are different types of layouts. Here we have a layout where we deleted the vertical axis numbers, and we have inserted data labels, and we have kept the legends on to the right. That's one layout we have. Like that, we have multiple layouts here. Whichever layout is of your choice. See here your legends is down. Here you don't have legends. In fact, you have vertical axis specified, and you can even specify the title as well for your axis. Here you have data table included. Like this, you have different layouts available here. Whichever layout is comfortable for you, or whichever way you want to display your chat, you can select those options accordingly, right? And this next option is your change colors. You have these bar colors here. You can change those bar colors accordingly. You have these multicolor bars. Yeah, so whichever of your choice, you can just select those things. This is unicolor, different shades, right? So different shades of same color, or different colors. I select this for now. Right, so that's one colors. And again, this is of different formats of layouts, in fact. So how you want your background to be appeared, that can be selected from here. See, these are different uh, layouts. Once again, here background color changes, here the text font size, everything changes. So these are again different layouts, how you want your chart to be displayed, right? So I'll just delete the data labels for now. Yeah, that's those are some of the design options, chart styles as well. Okay, now select data. Now I have first selected this data and then created a chart, right? Let's say my source data increases. Now I have April here, and I take some data, let's say like this. Something like this, right? Now I have April data also included. Now I want to select the data, or I want to change the data, right? So I just format this table accordingly. Yes. Now I want to increase this data as well. So what I can do, I can right click on the chart. When you right click on the chart, you'll get an option called select data. You can even right click on the chart, or you can go to design and uh, select data, right? So I have under design select data, or you can simply right click on the chart and say select data. Okay, now here is where you can select the data. In this case, chart data range uh, is specified from A to D, right? That is till March. But now my chart got extended, so I can change it from here. I can say E, or you can go manually select it from here as well. Both are fine. Okay, yes. So that's where my data range can be changed. And here I have these legend entries, Paul, Peter, John, that is same. Here I have Jan, Feb, March, but I have now April as well. So I'll have to also select that, right? So I say edit, and yeah, so now it's getting picked up because I have changed my data range, right? So it has automatically picked up. If not, you can go select that as well. So I click OK. Now it has been updated properly. I click OK. Now it's fine, right? So I have included my extended data as well in my chart. Your chart gets updated accordingly. That's how you select the data. Fine, that is one option. Next is your change chart type. Okay, so before going to that, we'll see some of the format options as well, and then come back to this. Right now, here you have again those shape styles. You can use fill color options here. These are kind of formatting options. When you right click on a cell, you get format cells option, right? To format that particular cell. Same way, we have these format options for your chart as well. You can simply right click and say format chart area, right? So you will get a separate window here, right? So all the fill border options will come, right? So here you have to explore different options here. All your shadow, glow, soft edges, 3D, all the fill options, border options, everything, size options will be here. Okay, now you can even select it from there, or you can right click here. Okay, once you right click here, you have this fill option here, right? So you can select whichever color you want, right? So that way you can select your colors. Okay, so that is for fill, and this is for outline. Outline refers to the border as such. So whichever color you want your outline to be specified, you can select those colors. This is internal border color, fill color, in fact, right? So I can even select from there, or I can go to this fill and say solid fill, or no fill. In this case, it's no fill. Okay, so you can say gradient fill, whatever options you want. You can pattern fill, you can select it accordingly. You have different patterns here. You can take whichever pattern is required. If not, make it automatic, right? And you can even select the colors accordingly, right? So whichever color you want. So this is just to fill the chart with different background styles. And right, that is shape fill. Outline refers to the outline of the chart, how you want the color to be specified. And shape effects, the how you want your chart shape to be, right? So these are different styles or shapes. See, when I mouse over on that, you get the difference there. So the borders or the layouts, however you want, you can change them accordingly. Let's say I select this. Yes, I click OK, and your border outline gets changed a bit, right? So that is one thing. And shadow. Okay, so if you want a shadow to be displayed down, down, up, or wherever, let's say I select this, a shadow gets displayed, right? And let's say I want glow, different type of a glow for your borders, right? You can even select that as well. That that looks little odd as well, right? So whichever glow you want, you can just take that. Soft edges also you can change such that how you want your edge to be, right? Whether it is rounded or you have these points here, 2.5, 3 point, let's say 2.5. Okay, so the way your you know okay, the way your chat looks gets changed accordingly, the way you select these options. Okay, so bevel refers to, again, this outer uh, right, outer format, how you want your chat to be. Let's say I select this, and your uh, you know so these are very much external options, right? How you want your chat to be displayed, those external options you can select it from those format options. Okay, and finally we have this 3D rotation as well. 3D, so whichever option you are comfortable with, you can select those options accordingly, and your chat gets displayed like that. Okay, so I just select like this. Yes. Okay, and let's say I remove this grid lines, say delete. I give some background color, fill color. Like this. Right, so like this. So however you want your chat to be displayed, you can apply those format options accordingly. I just do control Z to bring it back. And yes, so these are some of the formatting options. Okay, so these are text options actually. These you have this text here, right? Monthly sales and Jan, Feb, whatever. And for those text, if you want to change the color, you can just select any of the colors. You can give the outline. You can give the background. So all those options are here, right? So yes. So those are, once you create a chat, these are the options available to format your chat accordingly. Fine. So let's move ahead for different types of chats, right? So in this case, I have created a column chat. Let's see how to change this to another type, right? So I'm just copying this chat, Control C, and come down, Control V again. Let's say I want to change this to a pie chart, right? So what I can do, I can right click on this and change chart type. You have this change chart type option. So I've selected that, and let's say I wanted it to be a pie chart. I select a pie chart, click OK, and your chart will be converted into a pie chart with the same outlines, right? So like this, you can convert to a pie chart, or let's say line chart, change chart type. If I want to convert it to a line chart, you can say line chart or bar chart, whichever of your liking. You can just select those options accordingly, and your chart gets converted like that. Okay, so these are so you have all these different types of charts in Excel. You have pie chart, bar chart. Okay, so bar chart refers to like this. It will be the inverted version of your column chart. You have area chart, right? XY scattered chart, only dots appears there. And you have 3D charts, all these different kinds of charts available. So most commonly used are column chat, pie chat, bar chat, and line chat. Okay. So yes, so those are basics of how to create a basic chat, and we have seen some of the options available to modify your chat, right? So let's go to the next example where we have multiple access, right? So okay, so this is Excel 3D chat where you get those options, scattered 3D chat, right? Okay, so let's take this example, okay, and try to create a chart like this where we have multiple axes here. Okay, so in this case, revenue, we have different months, revenue, expenses, and expenses as percentage. So revenue and expenses are of the same data type, but expense is for different data type, which is percentage data type, right? So we can't include all these three in a same axis, right? So we need a separate axis for this expenses to be displayed, okay, like this. So how to create a chart like this, let's do. Okay, so I'm just selecting this data, entire data, and go to insert, or shortcut key to create a chat is alt F1, right? Alt F1 is a shortcut to create a chat instantly. Whichever is your default chat, that gets displayed. Okay, like this. So I'm going to select this, go to insert, let's say create a column chat. So I'm just going to click on this 2D column chat. So we got this basic column chat displayed, right? So let's try to modify some of the options here. We have months displayed, so it's fine. We have vertical axis, but only one vertical axis is there. So it says revenue and it says expenses, but expenses as percentage is not displayed. Okay, so let's go to right click and select data and see whether everything is perfect. Now we have in horizontal axis, we have months, that is fine, and in vertical axis we get revenue, expenses, and expenses as percentage, that even as fine. So it has picked up everything properly, but I want to display that. Okay, so how to do that? Right click and say right click on any of the bar and say change series chart type. If you click on outside of that bar, it will not display that option, but if you click on the bar, it will display the option called change series chart type. Select that and it will go and select this combo where you have these options here, right? Revenue clustered column, expenses clustered column, but expenses as percentage, I want it in a different axis with a different chart, right? So let's make it as a line chart. So I'm going to select this line, and it has to be in a separate axis. So here we have secondary axis, so I'm going to select that and say click OK. Now you have a separate axis here, and that axis we have a line chart, right? So everything looks fine here. Even you can include data labels if you want, or you can we have an access separately here, so that is also fine. So you can even give a chart title. So I'm going to specify uh, expense chart, something like this. Perfect. So this is how you create a chart with a secondary axis, and you get a combination chart here, right? A column chart as well as line chart, both parallelly together, right? Yes. Now, another example. Now, this time we are going to see something called dynamic chat. Okay. So, what is dynamic chat all about? Now, here we have years, some different years. You have product A, product B, and profit. Three different columns we have. Now, all three different columns needs to be displayed in a chart, right? So, you have product A, product B, and profit. Now, if I select all three, you have to get all three axes like this. Let's say I want only product and profit to be displayed. It has to be displayed like this, something like this, right? If I want only product B to be displayed, I can only display that. So like this, based on the options you select, your chat has to become dynamic. Okay, so let's try to create a chat like this. Okay, now I'm going to copy this data, Control C into my other workbook. Control V. Okay, so we have product A, product B, and profit. I'm going to leave one column for my, okay, I'm just going to leave one column for my access to be displayed and for some modifications. Okay, so for creating a dynamic chat, what I'll have to do is I'll have to copy this and replicate the same in separate cells, right? And needs to apply some formulas here. Based on that, your chat gets dynamic. Okay, so what formula? I'll have to use an if condition to check. Let's say I have true, I have false, and I have true. Okay, now what condition I'll have to check is if I have a true here, if I have a true here, all the data here has to be displayed in this column. If I have a false here, I have to display some error, let's say NA, right? Not available, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to write an if condition. I say equals to if of, if this particular cell is equals to true, I say true, comma, then whatever is there here, just display that. If it is false, that is if not true, then give me hash, right? So I press enter. As that is true, your 2780 is getting displayed here. For my formula to be dragged, I'll have to do some more freezing here. So B1 has to be B1 even if I drag your formula down. So I press F4 here to make sure that it's getting freezed. And B3, when I drag this to the right, B3 should become C3, right? So I'll just leave it that way. Okay, so I press enter and drag the formula down, Control D, and drag the formula right, Control R. Okay, so here go and see, it is referring to B1. No, it has to refer C1. So instead of completely freezing, I'll have to say, I'll have to unfreeze B, right? So I do a Control D and do a Control R. Yes, because it is false in the C column, so it says hash NA. I do a Control R. Now here you have a true, so values are getting displayed, right? So this is one way to create a table for your chat to be dynamic. Okay, now one more thing what we have to do is we'll have to create some form control buttons in such a way that that can be linked to your cell here, right? When that form control is checked, it has to display a true, otherwise it has to display a false. Okay, now what I'll do, I go to developer tab, go to insert form control checkbox. Okay, so I'm going to click that and drag it over here. Okay, and let's say format control. Okay, so for that I want to link to this particular cell called B1. That's perfectly linked. Click OK. Fine. So I have a checkbox which is getting linked to my B column, B1 row, in fact B1 cell. So that has to be referred as product A. Perfect. Now what I'll do, I'll just copy this button, Control C checkbox, and paste it here and simply align here. Okay. Now I'll have to change that to product B. I've just changed. Another thing, I'll have to link format control. Now instead of B1, I'll have to link it to C1. Okay, so that's product B. I click OK. Now that's fine, and I just paste it once again. I say Control V. One more button gets created. I just drag it near here and rename it to profit. I say profit. Yes, and I'll have to link that as well. So format control, I have this as B1. Now I don't want it to be B1. I'll have to change it to D1, right? Profit stays in the D column, so it has to be D1. I click OK. Now all these are properly linked. Now if I check this, it becomes true. If I uncheck that, that becomes false. So it works fine, it works fine, it works fine as well. Perfect. Now what I want to do, I just group this all three together. So I insert a frame such that all three gets grouped. So I just drag it on top of this, and instead of a group box here, I will say selection. Whatever text you want, you can just give a text accordingly, and all these has to be grouped such that even if you move, all will group, all will move together. So I will select this, control and select, control and select, control and select this as well. I right click on this and say group. Group. Now all these got grouped. If I move these, if I move this section, okay, so this is a separate option, but if I just try moving this, this is all grouped. Okay, now I have to group this with this frame as well. So I select that and I select this, control and right click. I'll have to make sure that both get selected simultaneously. So this is selected, I press control, this is selected, and I say right click and say group. Group. Yes, now both are grouped. I can drag wherever I want, so everything is grouped. Fine. So till now we have created the additional things which is required for my graph. Now I'm going to create my graph. Okay, so I'll have to create the chat on top of this data, not on this data, because your data is here. So go select insert and say column chat. I just want a normal column chat. Select OK. Now this is getting displayed like this. I don't want that data to be displayed, so I just move it on top of it. Perfect. Right now I right click on this chat, change series chat type. Perfect. Now product B is fine. Okay, before that, even year is not getting displayed here, right? So 1 2 3 4 is displayed. I'll have to go first, go to select data, and I want years to be displayed here. So edit, select, and years. Enter, enter. Okay, so years has come here. I don't want years to be displayed in the legends, that is vertical axis, so I just remove that. Okay, product A, product B, profit, all three are displayed. Okay, fair enough. Now last one more thing is that you want profit to be a different graph. So I just say right click, change series chat type, and this has to be line chat. So I select line chat. Okay, so this now if you want this to be secondary axis, you can still keep it, or if you don't want, you can keep it like that. I want a secondary axis, so I select that and click OK. Right, so one more axis has been displayed. Now if I select product A, product A, product B, and profit is in the line chart, which is coming in the separate axis. Right, so this is how you create a dynamic chat. So if you keep selecting these two, based on that your chat gets displayed accordingly. Right, so this is one useful way of creating your chat. Right, yes, let's see one last option, that is using conditional formatted chats, right? So what is conditional formatting inside chats? Yes, conditional formatting chat. Let's see how to create this. Okay, so this is my data here. I have some months here, January to November, and I have revenues, I have expenses, and expense percentage as well. Right now, I want for this expense percentage. Okay, if that percentage is greater than 60, I want that bar to be displayed as green. If it is less than 60, I want to make it as red, something like that. Okay, so what I'll have to do is I'll have to separately give a cell where I can specify my cutoff. In this case, I say 60, you can change that to 50, 40, whatever. Let's say I make it 50 here, and your chat gets changed accordingly. Let's say 80. Okay, so all bars turn red. If I say 40, some of them turn green, everything in fact turns green. I say 60. So based on whatever your cutoff, your bars changes accordingly. Whichever are red, that means they are performing under 60%, something like that. Okay, so for that to happen, I'll have to create a subtable like this. Okay, now what this subtable will do is it will just create an if condition to check if this cell value is greater than, sorry, if this cell value, that is your expense percentage, is greater than this cutoff, right? Then specify the result, that is whatever is there here. Just create that. Okay, let's try creating that here. Okay, so I write an if condition. I say if of, if this cell value, that is my expense percentage cell value, if it is greater than my cutoff, that is, this is my cutoff remains constant, so I say F4 to freeze that, comma. If that's the case, then display whatever is there here. Okay, if not, then just display NA. Okay, so that's my requirement. Now in this case, 58 is less than 60, so hash NA. Now I drag this, next is 63, so it has to display 63. It is displaying, and I drag it till down, Control D. It works perfectly fine. For whichever are not greater than 60, it says hash NA. Whichever is greater than 60, it shows some result. Okay, now that is in fact that is green for me, right? Because I've taken greater than condition. Now less than condition is red, right? So I have to take the same formula but a small tweak. If this less than my cutoff, that is, this is cutoff F4, if it is less than that, then display whatever value is there, otherwise give me NA. Okay, so this is for negative conditions. So I press enter. In this case, it is displaying okay 58, and I drag this down, Control B. Now wherever hash NA here, you'll get a result. Wherever result is there, you'll get a hash NA. Right? So I've just created a basic table like this. On top of this, I'm going to create a chat. So I select that data and go to insert column chat once again. So I save this column chat. Okay, so I'll make sure it is tracked properly. Okay, now it has taken some default color. I wanted red or green. So you can change those colors accordingly. I select this bars. Now you see only that bars are getting highlighted. I want fill color. So I go back to design. Sorry, I go to format. Under format, shape fill. I take the shape as red. Sorry, this is greater than condition, right? So it has to be green. So I make it as green. Okay, so this has to be red. So I select that and shape fill, take it as red. Right. So that's it. Now I want data labels to be displayed. So I remove this and make sure my data labels are displayed on top. So select the data labels. Perfect. Okay. So now whichever are less than 60%, those are red. Whichever are greater than 60%, those are green. Okay. And it says green, red, but you want to change, you can still change them accordingly. Fine, so that is about conditional formatting. Now I change this cutoff to 50% and your graph changes instantly as well, right? Yes, so that's about chats in Excel. See you next class.